Welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home program. I'm Selome Hailu from Variety. Now, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce actors Quinta Brunson, Janelle James, Chris Perfetti, Sheryl Lee Ralph, and Lisa Ann Walter of ABBOTT Elementary.
Hello. Hello.
Hey,
Everyone, this is my favorite show on the air right now, so I'm really excited to get to talk about it with you all today. I'll start with Quinta. So you're not only the star of ABBOTT Elementary, but you're also the creator and an executive producer. So I'm curious to know why you chose the mockumentary format for this show. Why have these characters speak to a camera crew? And for everyone else, how did that impact your performance?
Yeah, well, besides just being a fan of the genre and its many usages, from Parks and Rec to The Office to like What We Do in the Shadows, I just thought that it was a great vehicle for a story like the one we're presenting in ABBOTT. I think what makes those shows work best is having a veil to go behind, a group of people to look at who you normally are not getting so intimate with. Also, with this show being about teachers, I really wanted the teachers to have the ability to talk with us, the audience, and invite us into their school. I just thought not only is it great for comedy and humor, but it's simply interesting for a group of public school teachers.
Does anyone else have anything to add about how that kind of changed the way that you approached your characters?
well, everything about it was basically different. When it comes to shooting like four cameras, you're really acting left to right and they're covering you. When it comes to ABBOTT Elementary, there's a whole new choreography going on behind the scenes that absolutely changed everything for me, because in some ways I was waiting for the moment to have that on camera shot, that coverage. And then I realized somewhere down the line, no, the coverage is always happening. Our camera people are on stools with wheelies, or they're really walking a lot. It's a whole new camera ballet that's going on that has had a definite impact on the way I relate to the camera or don't relate to the camera now. So yes, it's very different.
Yeah, one of the best moments as an actor in this genre is living in the truth of the scene and then noticing that the camera is noticing you and then reacting to the fact that you just got caught in the middle of whatever you were doing or feeling. So that's a lot of fun. You're acting all the time. If actors are watching this, it's not like you're just going, as we say sometimes, BS, 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 my line. BS, 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 but like you're not waiting for your moment. You're in the scene 100% always, but the fun is getting caught.
Because of this,
no idea about we have so many shots of what we look like from the back. I'm like, I had no idea that's how I look like from the back.
That's not good.
Because of this format, there have been a lot of comparisons between this show and others, most notably The Office and things like Parks and Rec. What do you all make of that? How does it feel to be compared to such popular shows?
It's hard for me because I've never seen the other shows.
I have, and it feels great. What We Do in the Shadows, which is one of my favorite shows that's on right now. For Quinta to do what she did and make it fresh and make it feel like a different, and Randall, and the people that put together, and our camera operators and the whole crew, what they put together in terms of the style is fresh. Yes, it's indicative of those other shows, but it seems fresh somehow. And I'll shut up. Let somebody else talk.
I think that those comparisons, a lot of them were made in good faith, where people felt they were getting the same feeling that they got from those shows. And there were others that were like, is this too close to the shows we've already seen like that? But what I think ABBOTT really helps to do is remind people that mockumentary is a genre that is not owned by one or two shows. It was being done in the UK very well before it even kind of touched down in America as a genre. The Office itself was a recreation of a popular British show. So ABBOTT's place in it is kind of proving that this is different from a single cam, and it's different from a multicam. It's an entire other genre of television sitcom. And I love that that was something that was realized over time with Abbott. Bringing these fresh new characters to this genre helps reinforce that it actually is a genre. And I also just find it interesting because single cam shows have literally looked the same forever. Multicam shows have all, like there are so few mockumentaries, so I understand the comparisons, but we don't like compare other single cam shows to other single cam shows. But once again, I think Abbott is helping people realize that this is a genre in and of itself.
You know what else is funny? You mentioned British shows, and I feel like theater, when it was kind of, Shakespeare and the Greeks, and it was stoic, you could have a monologue which gave a character's internal thoughts to the audience. What they were showing to the world was not necessarily what they were feeling. And so they had a monologue to discuss it. And we have that in our talking heads. It's not Yorick, but it's better, because
that's a good point. Yeah,
the face that you show to the world is very rarely the face that the thing that you feel. And so if you're talking to a camera, or they're catching you in a moment, like with my character Melissa, I had a moment with a paper plate that was my bunny paper plate. It was one of my first projects ever, and a kid made it. And the way I related to that was so soft, and it was so different from the hard face that Melissa shows to the world, that it's one of my favorite pieces in the show. So that was my feeling about it.
I love that comparison and the idea that the Greek tragedies were mockumentaries in their own way. And it's a perfect segue into my next question, which was, it's just that something great about this show is that all of you come from different backgrounds in acting, but you gel together really cohesively. I know we've got some stage actors in the room, some improv and some stand-up and sketch comedians, all kinds of film and TV shows. So I'd love to hear you talk about your past work and how you brought it to Abbott. Chris, let's start with you. I know you were a big theater person.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I feel like in addition to coming from very different parts of the business, Quinta has done us a favor by writing characters that are also different too. And I think the show wants to feel like, in many ways, this is a motley crew. This is like, how do these, strangers get on? And yeah, I mean, I come from theater. That's where I got my start in New York. And it's amazing. I would say there's not like a ton of overlap between that and this. I mean, there's certainly this element of like, we were speaking to the mockumentary style, and like, being a student of theater, you kind of have to learn, you're much more in control, and you are basically the storyteller. And so I feel like the years that I've spent kind of honing what it means to be in front of a live audience is certainly like useful to Jacob. Jacob, I think there's the performative aspect of Jacob in his normal life. I think he kind of puts himself out there and like lets the cart go before the horse, just to kind of see what people, who will rein him in at times. I think he also, is very excited by the mockumentary. I think he thinks that, he's the lead of this movie that they're making. I think he really enjoys talking to the film crew. And so, but yeah, I think this has been, Abbott has been a real gift for me to kind of like, let the skills, if I can call them that, in like, just rhythm and, timing and storytelling in that way, work in a different way. So, yeah.
Can I say, I just wanted to say, I think, Chris, how you move on screen is like a play actor to me. Like there's a scene where you're talking about Lisa and she leaves and you do the spin. It's like you move like you're on stage. And I think that's like interesting to see on camera. You might not know you're doing it, but I see it and I think it's nice. So anyway.
And Janelle, coming to you next. I know you're a stand-up at heart, but you become a fan favorite so quickly as an actor in this show.
My character is a jokester, so of course that lends to how I coming from a stand-up background, in that I know how to say a joke, I know how to land a joke, I know how to pace. I know how to pace words so that it hits. So even if it's not a joke, I can turn it into a joke. I think that's a skill and that I bring. And also this being like my first big thing on camera. I'm not, I guess I would say, having done stand-up for 10 years, I'm not afraid of anything. So I'm just doing it. And it also, I'm not like trapped in like a certain actor-y thing. I don't know. I don't even know what that is, to be trapped there. So I think that lends, to what I'm doing. I'm just being funny, as I've been for 10 years.
Sheryl, you're also a big stage actor on top of so many notable films and TV shows. How does playing Barbara stand out to you in your career after all this time?
After all this time, I look at it and I say, it's very interesting being a Tony-nominated actress, stage, being an Independent Spirit Award winner, film, being on, I think, 10 different television series, TV. It has been a whole journey of developing and honing my skill to go from medium to medium to medium, because they're all very, very different. The way you act on stage is for the back of the theater, which is very different from acting on film when you're on the screen and you're 25 feet wide, which is very different from acting for TV, for where your performance has to go from what might be on a phone, what might be on a tablet, what might be on a computer, what might be on a TV screen for many different inches. So for me, it has really all been about honing an actor's skills, because it is very easy to be successful in one medium and unsuccessful in another. So for me, ABBOTT Elementary is just another page in learning for this actor in the development of a brand new medium, this new choreography that I talked about that's going on, and what new young talents, artists, genius, visionaries like Quinta are bringing to the industry. And I'm happy to be here because I'm learning so much still.
I thought that was kind of interesting, like remarkable for me to see you when you first started on the show, and then as the show progressed, like Sheryl, you've been doing this for so long, but watching you actively learn like an 18-year-old even, of being like, I'm actively learning this new thing. I thought that was really encouraging to see. And I felt that was something that I know, you, Lisa, Tyler, have been doing this for so long on television and film, but you still approach this with this open heart of wanting to learn how to do this medium. And I just thought that was incredible. You've been doing this for so long, you know how to do it, and I think that's what makes a good actor at the end of the day, saying, okay, new environment, adaptation. I think that was just cool for me to see as a young actress, actors who've been doing it for so long, who are trying to learn on every new set they're on. I just thought that was cool.
Yes. I'm still trying to master social media. I'm still trying.
Whatever.
Best. The best of any of us.
And this show is a perfect one to be on, to become a social media guru. We've got so many memes coming out. Everyone's live tweeting every single episode.
It's a lot.
Moving on to you, Lisa Ann. It's been a joy watching people realize week to week of the show that you're Chessie from The Parent Trap, but you've also been a stand-up and an author with a long filmography. Talk to me again about how your past has kind of informed this work.
Well, Quinta just said about actors coming to it. I always look at Sheryl like she's 18. You always feel like you're 18 inside. And I think actors have that anyway, that we have to be optimistic. I mean, I'm a cynic because I am Sicilian. So I'm always like, okay, what's going to bone us? But I think that you come to each new thing fresh, hopefully, and you're just talking to the other person that you're in a scene with. It's just human relationships. So whether that was for me on the set of The Parent Trap or whatever movie, or on a sitcom, a 4-camera sitcom, or on a stand-up stage, which is the most, when I was a little kid, I promise this is quick. When I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to be an actor because I was a character I didn't really want to be in a High School Musical. I was Yenta in Fiddler. You know, I put socks in my dress so my boobs were down here, which got a big laugh. But really what it was I got laughs and I got tears in one scene, laughs and tears. And I want to do this forever. I want to feel this forever. Bringing an audience through that journey. So when I did stand up, it was the most immediate relationship with an audience and being present while they heard ideas and responded to it. Doing a sitcom is almost like being in a repertory company in that you're going to work with the same people, the same core group. So you feel like you know them more and more as you work. And then you get guest artists and you get new people to talk to and relate to and have them change you. Mm-hmm. So all of those grow the experience of being an actor. But for me, it boils down to a relationship with an audience. And historically, if you did 4-camera in front of an audience, you're playing for a joke. And Janelle is a perfect example of someone who she hears the rhythm, as she said, it's a joke that's written or a joke that she creates from the rhythm. She knows where it's going to land. She knows where the laugh is going to be. You don't even necessarily need an audience there, although the crew cracks up at her and everybody regularly. But we get to see a response on Twitter, as you mentioned, almost in real time of people responding to the show. So it's almost like being in front of an audience, which, you know, we want them, as Quinta always says, we want them to have the experience of the show and not get distracted by them writing about the show and missing stuff as they're writing. But the nice thing about it is that they respond and we see what they are loving and that they're so wrapped up in the characters that they stop Quinta on the street and say, you need to dump Tariq. They stop people. And I was shopping with Sheryl 2 days ago and people just stop her every 5 steps and talk to her about what their favorite teacher was, or it's a wonderful experience. It's great.
Back to you, Quinta. You've had huge internet success with all kinds of viral videos and memes. There's your book, She Memes Well, a Black Lady sketch show, and other comedy work. So as you built your name in comedy, was a network sitcom like this always the goal?
I was really interested in creating a sitcom for sure. I didn't technically always know where or when or anything like that, but I knew that felt like something I was working toward. As you know, the industry pushes and pulls you in all different types of directions. So I just tried to make that the thing I was working toward, kind of in the back of my brain, but that led to doing a lot of other work. I mean, the whole reason that I think I had a presence on the internet is because ultimately I was like, I'd love to be on SNL or a sitcom one day. And I was just kind of stretching my muscles, and the things I did wound up going viral. And with the other work I've done before Abbott and, even still now, like I'm guest starring on stuff, it's all just really for the love of the game, like loving comedy and loving TV. So I feel like anyone who loves comedy and sitcoms, they want to make one. And I feel fortunate enough that my work and ethic has led to me being able to actually do it, in addition to just, loving the world of comedy.
Can we talk about casting a little bit? Who in the show did you already have in mind for their roles? Who did you meet for the first time during the audition process and gravitate to?
So Tyler I had in mind for Gregory because I'd worked with Tyler on Black Lady Sketch Show. And when I was writing the characters out just to pitch, Tyler came to mind because I thought that I knew he would be very good at playing like the everyday man. Whereas And that's what we needed to start with. It was important to me that everybody on the cast looked like real people, which sounds easy, but it is like a push and pull to get people who look like, present like, have the soul of the people in them. So Tyler was one of the people I had in mind first. And, clearly we got Tyler. I actually did have Sheryl in mind for Barbara, but was under the impression that she wasn't available. So we kind of had to move on. We had moved on and didn't think we could get her, but we wound up getting her. Lisa, Chris, and Janelle, I did not have a person in mind for any of those roles. So much so when I wrote the pitch document, it felt hard to write down because they'll have you say a blank blank type or a like this. And I couldn't even put anyone's name on it. I just did know that when the right person auditioned, we would know it. And that is exactly what happened with Lisa, Chris, and Janelle. It was like conversation over. This is the person. They have the exact it factor we're looking for, which was a combination of presenting as a real person. I think also what was important to me was presenting new archetypes instead of archetypes we had seen on television already. And I remember just specifically Chris's audition, I was like shocked because he made what, for the sake of this, what was, the white guy character we had seen before, he had somehow made fresh and brand new. And that to me was presenting a new archetype. Janelle, I knew that the character we had written of Ava was very different and wasn't seen before, but Janelle actually got what was like, I feel like I'm talking about you, but you're right here, but I felt like you got what was special about Ava, and it was hard to explain that to people and she just got it. And then Lisa, like, same thing. This thing that could have easily been just like a stereotypical character, everyone here just breathed more life into what we had written. And it's fortunate to find that. Like, I feel like I'll text them randomly and be like, you guys are the best cast. It'll be just like the middle of the night.
It's awesome.
But I mean it. I'll be watching, I would do it through editing while we were editing the show. And I would just message them and be like, I feel so fortunate. I feel like blessed. I rarely use blessed.
Specific lines. She'll say, like, you did this line, and every time I see it, I laugh. I've seen it 37 times, and I laugh every time. And as an actor, that's so nice to hear, because you're like, oh, somebody's seeing my work. But I get blown away on set during the works. I read the pilot, I laughed, I cried, I loved it. It was brilliant. Mm-hmm. And then everybody, Chris and Janelle, Sheryl, Tyler, they all did stuff that was even more than what I expected. They brought twist to it. It was unexpected. Janelle's joy in being that character. And Chris, I tell him and Tyler all the time, I'm like, I just love watching you act.
Yeah, seriously.
I just love it. There's so
seriously, sometimes I'm watching Chris and I just forget that I'm also in the scene, and I have done it. And then Sheryl did one thing one time. Oh, sorry, Janelle, I got you.
No, I'm saying that's what I said about Chris. Actor.
Seriously. Sheryl had this one line in the gifted program episode where she says, you can just be the Malcolm of science, and that's enough, and that's enough, and that's good enough. And I was like, and with that delivery, you have solidified yourself as America's teacher. Like, we can write it, but the way we delivered it was with the warmth of 1,000 teachers and 1,000 people. And that's what becomes special about a cast, is being able to do that stuff. We can write it all we want, but it's the life that all the actors on the show, even Stan or William, who plays our janitor, he does it too. And it makes us we get in awe during editing, and that's such a good feeling.
And it's interesting that she says that, because I had once said to Quinta, I have not the slightest idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing these lines, and I am doing them. And I was afraid that I would disappear. I was afraid that I wouldn't be seen. And then I realized, oh my God, the less is more, the nothingness is everything. And just be that teacher who wants to encourage their children, her students, to be their best. And for an actor, that can be very challenging to relax into less, into nothing, and just do it. I'm telling you, it really can be.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, while everyone is singing your praises, I'd love to hear it from your end about auditioning for this role and how you approach playing.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me to say nice things about them. I love to hear that everybody was getting texts from Quinta about parts that she loved. I'm kidding. I got them as well.
You sure did.
But how do you become the white guy who makes his missteps but has a heart of gold?
I don't know. I feel like to what Sheryl was just saying, I when I read something for the first time, I sort of have these two litmus tests. And the first is, does it make me laugh out loud in a public place? And so I tend to read things on the subway or, sitting on a park bench or something. And this did that, certainly. And then the other one is, when I'm reading it, does it make me jealous imagining somebody else doing it? And this definitely had that. I just thought it was very clear. And I thought all of our episodes, it was, in addition to the fact that I'm still learning a lot about Jacob, I don't want to say it came easily to me, but I felt like I knew who that guy was in the world. And so, like I said, I think in many ways he's struggling to catch up to a lot of the people around him and even to himself sometimes. But I don't know. I think I just see him in the world, and I can get behind, the writers have given me a lot to get behind. And I think it's clear to me what Jacob wants and what his relationships with the people he works with are. And so, yeah,
I want to say it is kind of easy because exactly what he said, the characters are really clear. Like when Quinta said it seemed like I got this person, I knew who she was. That's why I guess I got it. Like I know who this character is, and that's a testament to how clearly they wrote the characters. Each character is just so distinct, and I know who they are. And so it is kind of easy and it's fun. Like that's how I get into character. I'm just trying to have fun. And this has been a fun role and experience. Like if things aren't fun, I don't want to do it. So that's the energy I try to bring to it. And this character is somebody who I'm sure you see just wants to have fun all the time. And if it has to be to do with work or responsibility, she ain't feeling it. So that part comes easy.
I have to protect my cast though real quick because all of them are too humble. All of them, each one of them. And I hear you guys, but you are amazing, like actors. Like you do amazing work, and like not everyone can do what you do, Janelle. Not everyone can do what you do, Chris, Lisa, Sheryl. So like, I'm just saying, like you, like I don't know. I know it's easy. I know it's you, but you guys are like you're good actors. You're good straight up actors.
I think that obviously, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't disagree. My favorite compliment currently is when people say that Melissa's getting the Philadelphia accent.
Right?
Like that's not my accent. Like some people are like, oh, she's from there. I'm like, no, I'm that's part of my job. Like I do it when I go to work. And it's fun, but also there's moments that live between the lines and the lines are awesome and they're great, but there's beats that are between the lines where Chris, I think that's part of the reason why he has infused that character and elevated, and everybody here, Sheryl, you're talking about just be that person, but there are beats that live between the lines where you and I are sharing energy because of where we're sitting and we're communicating that people recognize, oh, they're work wives. They've got a name for us on the internet. We're Belissa now. I mean, it's funny that when people see the truth of those in-between moments where you catch yourself saying something that you're embarrassed about, like Chris does beautifully. That's like the beautiful acting beats, I think, is sometimes the in-between the line stuff, the non-line stuff.
Lisa Ann, I'm so glad you brought up the accent because that is on my list of questions to ask about. I just love how aggressively Philly this show is and how the city's culture influences like every single episode. So I'd love to hear what research happened, what you guys were watching, Lisa Ann, where that accent came from to kind of situate yourselves in this world.
Well, I mean, Quinta can answer all the Philly stuff because there's stuff that they teach me all the time. And I ask, if there's a reference that comes up that I don't get, I'm like, oh, what's this place? Oh, it's the chicken place everybody goes to, right? For me, my people are all from New York. My original family is all Brooklyn, Staten Island, Manhattan, Little Italy. But I grew up in the DC area. So this O is Maryland. And I heard it growing up. So it's very close to Philadelphia, but I worked on it. I went on the internet, I did a little bit before the audition, as much as I could. And then I really got into it. Like I researched all sorts of YouTube videos where people I practice the words. When I get the script, I practice the words using the video. I take it serious. I should get a coach. Hey, Quinta, you think they get me a coach?
I don't think you need a coach. Okay. I think you're fine. I think you're doing great.
I think it's funny because is anybody else even trying? I feel like Lisa's the only one that has. I feel like she's from there, but I didn't even look into trying to do an accent because I felt like I was going to get dragged. So like I sound very New York, but hey, that's a backstory. I moved following a man.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, what's funny is like with everyone, we didn't, that was great that Lisa did that. We didn't ask anyone to do anything. The show is very grounded in Philly. I guess I would say I'm the research for that. Like it's born very much of the schools I went to in my neighborhood. Like literally the school is set where I went to school, which is in my neighborhood in West Philly. The writers did research as far as like specific, like there's a restaurant called Burrata that I didn't even know was a real restaurant when I saw it in the script. I didn't know they did that research. I was so happy. But most of it in this first season came straight from my knowledge of Philly. But I was thinking about like, once again, what was interesting in the auditions and the performances was Chris is not from Philly. Chris, I'm not sure if you did any research, but it was an energy that you put forth that gave exactly what needed to be given, which was a guy from Manioc who comes and teaches in West Philly. And Janelle, although
bougie is universal. It don't have
exactly. Like it's an energy. It is an energy. I was like, that is my aunt. That's my cousin. Like, and that's why like women all over the world, but yes, in Philly can be like, that is that part of me that I either fully am or keep hidden. And I think Sheryl might be the only other person who has like straight up Philly roots, right? Like I don't know if he brought a lot of that to the show, but what do you think, Sheryl?
So it's interesting for me that for the past 20 years, I've been residing part of my life in Philadelphia, married to Senator Hughes, the 7th Senatorial District, West Philadelphia, where the story takes place. And this whole subject has been a passion of his. So when he read the script, my God, he was like so happy, so excited, so thrilled. He said, finally, maybe we'll now get the help we deserve, the attention that we deserve. The students need this. And these first 13 episodes have made such a magical difference in so many little pockets that we don't see, because we're doing our job. But, when I get to see it through him, I'm like, wow, Goddess is so amazing to put me in this position after all these years with this man at this time to make an even bigger difference than the major one we're making in people's homes and on TV. It's been amazing. And after all this time, people are still like, wait a minute, you married to Senator Hughes? 20 years now. Like, you live in Philadelphia? Yeah, 25 years now, yeah. And it's like, wow. So one never knows. You just never
Sheryl Lee Ralph for president, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here, girl. That'll never happen.
I just what Janelle said about getting dragged. I just knew that this character is South Philly and has always been South Philly. And if I came to it with a New York accent, which is where I used to go, I'm used to going into that, to sliding into that when it's a tough character. I'll naturally go into New York. And because of the New York Philly thing, if I did that, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
So
That's
it was
true.
really important that she not go into New York.
Yeah, I'd say you maybe had some heavier lifting to do on that part for sure. Because no, for real, people were so intense about her accent more than I thought people would be. Honestly,
Yeah.
I didn't think of it as a creator, but with the more recent Philadelphia, white Philly accents are more scrutinized than Black Philly accents, because Black Philly accents sound all over the place. But like, thanks to Mayor of Easttown, it was the talk of the town. That Delaware County accent. And I think that you did. Thank you for doing that research, actually, Lisa, because I didn't think of it really.
But you know what? I mean, it helps get you there when you put the words in. Like if I sprinkle in Sicilian slang, or the writers put it in, it connects the audience to it. When you put the whole beat about Philly slang, you know, with the whiteboard and all of the words that are Philly, which I learned doing the research, that makes it true to that place, and people respond to it. They love it. I had never heard John. I didn't know what the hell that was. That was new to me.
All right. Well, I could talk to you all for hours, but we're running up on our time. So to close up, I would love to hear about the child actors that you work with on the show. They're the heart of it. They're what brings me back every week. All so cute and sweet. I mean, y'all too, but who are you teaching without them? So I'd love to hear if anybody has any like favorite stories or memories about working with these kids.
I really think, you know, in doing this show, for me, it's so 360 degrees where we've shot, you know, places that being there at Warner Brothers, you know, going all the way back to my very first, you know, film audition. And my first film, it was Sidney Poitier was the director. It was a huge classroom of young actors, 17 to 20. I was 19 years old and in that classroom. When we finished that movie with all of those young people, Mr. Poitier stood in front and apologized to us that the industry could not give us what we deserved, that there were a lack of places for us to go. And every doggone time I stand in the classrooms of Abbott Elementary and I look at all of these young kids around me in every phase of the industry, but especially those kids playing children, I am so thankful that we are in a place where the industry, in small ways, in big ways, is able to give those young students what they deserve. And that is a chance in this industry. And I am so thankful to see Quinta in her role as creator, to see brand new artists, Janelle, first time comedian with Chris, bringing what he brings in, all those children from all those backgrounds. I'm like, damn.
What is cool and sweet is I had to go back to WB recently, and I ran into one of Lisa's student or Melissa's students on the lot, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And her mom's, and she's like, it's funny because she's like, "It's Janine, it's Miss Teagues," to her mom or whatever, and whatever. But she's like, I was like, "Yeah, I'm Quinta, we're offset." And then she's like on another show, and her first acting job was Abbott, and now she's already on another show on the lot. And then I wound up finding out that a lot of Abbott kids are now getting hired for that. Almost makes me too emotional to talk about. Isn't that tight?
Yeah.
And like,
that's cool.
I'm seeing them running around the lot, and I said, "Are we in production?" And they're all like already on a really cool project. And I think that is the invaluable thing that I didn't even think about when we were making the show. But now these are young actors who previously were not in the, you know, these are some of them we did outreach for. We had to literally go down to Inglewood and be like, "Does anyone want to act?" With a
every day.
Yeah, and
I'm happy. I'm going to see some of them, I think, in the hallways, just like you would if you were a teacher, like you said, Quinta. I'll see them in the hall. And I mean, my favorite thing about working with them, because they were all good at their job. Sometimes they got a little rambunctious. That's okay. They're kids. I've got 4 kids. I know how to handle it. But I also haven't had a little one at home for a number of years, and having them come run up and take my hand as we walk down the hall. I miss that. I can't wait to get back to that. That to me was the most beautiful thing, is getting to talk to young people.
My favorite Chris moment with the kids, because he's probably not going to say it, was when we were doing gifted program and the kids they were baby chicks. So Chris had to handle both his lines, kids, and baby chickens, real live baby chickens. And watching Chris like kind of become a teacher in that moment, that's what I saw, Chris. I don't know if that's how you felt, but you're like, guys, let's pull it together. Let's be quiet. Let's do this scene. And it's moments like that too, watching.
I feel like I picked that up from you. Is like you learn kind of like, I mean, it took me a few episodes, but like and you have said this a bunch, Quinta, like there are a lot of them who don't really separate the fact that like, you know, we're trying to juggle like what's going to happen in the scene and when we're going to start, you know, when somebody's going to call action and what, you know, the notes are and what they want to try different this time. But like some of them can't really tell the difference don't necessarily know. I mean, they do, but I think they forget. And so, yeah, it's interesting how this line sort of gets blurred between, like some of them actually think that you are a teacher, I think. And
they show you their work. You know,
they show us their work during class. It's like, A+, you know, because they do little work. Or watching Tyler develop his like dad voice. Tyler,
oh my God.
By the end of the season, had the hey down, like, but it's so refined.
Because
it was good.
It's funny that they do think I'm the principal, and they're also like in the show aware that I don't do anything. Walk around and be pretty. They know to compliment me. They know that I'm not busy. Like, it's just, I love
I'll be
it.
like, Janelle, because Janelle will be talking to the kids and joking with, I'm like, Janelle, come on, man, like that.
They're like, you really don't have no job. Okay.
There's a moment with Tyler in the, what episode is it where they ask him to dance? And there's that moment. Which one is it?
Episode 8.
Episode 8.
Yeah, the Dare.
And he is so rigid, you know, and we see him, the camera sees him being rigid. Then you see that kid looking up at him, that little boy looks at him as if like, come on, man. Come on, you know we gotta dance. And Tyler looks back at him, and all of a sudden, that hard thing goes away, and he just busts out dancing, and the kids just bust out dancing, and it just makes me cry every time I see it. I'm like, wow, I love that.
I love that episode. Everybody's firing on all cylinders in that episode.
I was just telling somebody last night, them kids was getting it. They were so into it. Like,
I know that one kid
looking at Tyler, but they are killing it. Like,
that's my favorite episode.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
so Selome, you done got us started. Sorry, you need to go.
I mean, I could go on for days, but for everyone else's sake, I'm hearing those stories made my day. I'm so excited to watch those kids grow up and to watch season 2 and hopefully at 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So thank you all for being here today. And on behalf of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, I want to thank you for sharing your experiences, process, and crafts with your fellow performers.
Thank you, Selome.